Vallejo, California. Sports fans worldwide, it's time for the Fitz Blitz on 89.5 FM, KZCT Vallejo. How you doing there? This week on the Blitz, well, Steven, it's the first time in a minute we've had to talk about two Bay Area NFL losses. It's been a little while.
It's been a little while. That's all right. It happens.
We'll cover that today. We'll talk about Thanksgiving. We'll talk about a little NBA, a little off-season baseball, and more. All that coming up on the Blitz. Let's do this. Good afternoon, Vallejo, 707 Bay Area, everyone everywhere. It is the Fitz Blitz here on OzCat Radio, 89.5 FM, KZCT in Vallejo. Timmy Fitz bringing you the Blitz along with Stephen Babb. Hit me up on Twitter at TimmyFitz76, FitzBlitz.com for archive segments of shows. And we have brought back the Tim Fitzgerald YouTube page as the new home for these videos.
Woo woo.
So please visit there.
Make sure to subscribe.
Yes, subscribe there on YouTube, and that way I got a handy little neat URL I can give you down the road instead of saying search TimmyFitz76. Find me there. And be sure to hit up Stephen Babb on Twitter as well.
That's right, Babb Sports, BABBSPORTS. And while we're plugging YouTube, search Stephen Babb on YouTube. You can find a lot of my great content that I have up on there from the past. I should start updating it shortly, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm going to be uploading, well, this video clearly up there, but old ones with Chris Avaglia. I think that's when I started doing video. He's the only other co-host that I think has appeared in video form, so it'll
Shout out Chris.
Yeah, it'll be you two and some of those solo shows I've done coming up on the Timmy Fitzgerald YouTube page.
Be careful when searching solo shows.
Yeah. Well, on YouTube, even on YouTube, yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, all right.
I just
So anyway, Bay Area NFL weekend didn't go quite as we wanted yesterday, but you know what, Steven? It's a Niner game that was a lot like that Seattle game.
It was.
And there were, elements that can still make a Niner fan go, God, we've lost by 6 combined points for this entire season so far.
And I've been all over, Twitter and, what have you, saying that you can't hang your head after yesterday. Not at all. Now, it's easy to second guess, coaching decisions and time management in the first half, throwing for it 3 times on 4th down.
Yeah.
But one of those times got you a touchdown. The other time got you, I think, 18 yards. And then it was that last time that really kind of bit you. But, 3 points to what was supposed to be this high-powered offense. I think they were favored by 6.5, I think, is what it ended up. Between 5, 6.5, somewhere it kind of was bouncing around. But you take this high-powered offense, this guy that actually gassed you running for 100 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
And you still almost won that game.
Mm-hmm. It was a slugfest. We saw the defenses each swarm to the ball, a lot of big hitting on each side. Each team sort of lived up to their identity. Even though, Lamar Jackson was, again, a big difference in this game, there's been this sort of, like a battle going on now of if you thought he'd be a quarterback before, and then if you were one of those people saying, well, he might need to try a different position, there's like this debate going right now between those two camps, this revisionist thing that's happening maybe. Everybody's like, no, I never really said that. It was all exaggeration. We thought we'd have to do this and that. Okay, there's old clips of you, Booger McFarland.
Yeah.
Clearly saying these things. But at the same time, you also have to bring up that, yeah, there's flaws. There's like maybe 2 flaws, and I think he's fixed one from his rookie year, where his feet would be too narrow when he threw. It seems like he spreads out better and he throws. He gets more on his throws now. His wide receiving core isn't great. It's more about his tight end and his back, that he's throwing to right now. But, the deep out isn't his strength, that sort of thing. But we also saw all of the strengths out there as well for him. Each quarterback has their strengths, their flaws. It's about how many, outrank the other.
Yeah, how do you balance them out?
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about one particular flaw of the Raiders quarterback, and that's the thing. I think he only has one, and that one bit him with Kansas City that we'll talk about in a little bit. They seem to be able to exploit that one flaw of his. Garoppolo's, if you had to try to find, okay, what's Garoppolo's maybe one flaw, because they all have one. Favre would throw into double coverage too much. Drew Brees, maybe not the tallest dude. There's always something for everybody.
I think he's got two.
Okay.
And I think one sometimes doesn't hurt him as much as the other. And I think the biggest flaw that he has is his inability to put it on a direct spot.
Okay.
So, guy coming across the middle, instead of hitting lead shoulder, he hits trailing shoulder. Ball sailed high on him when if it would have been caught down lower, it would have been caught in stride rather than the receiver having to jump up and grab it. Now, he does sometimes, put it on the money. He's had some sweet throws that hit right on target, but I think that accuracy issue is something that he's struggled with. And his other flaw, which sometimes helps, sometimes doesn't, is pulling his eyes from downfield when he's in the pocket and feels pressure.
Yeah, sure.
And which, it's better than him throwing an interception. And which sometimes he will try to force and do. But as I mentioned before, usually only in the first half as he's turning the ball over. But anyway, so he's been more more susceptible to taking a sack rather than forcing something.
Smart.
Yeah, which is smart.
So in this one, if you had to try to find out the key moments of where things tilted towards the Ravens, where would it be? Because it's a little tough to find. It's really blow for blow for blow. It's just trading, converting third downs, then not converting them, and they just it wasn't really until it seemed like, okay, who had the ball last was going to be it.
For me, there was two key things that stood out in this game, and the first one would be missing the field goal at the end of the first half.
Okay, yeah.
And not really trying to push forward and not managing the clock well to end the half. I think they definitely could have gotten it down to the 20, somewhere around the 20, taken a shot for the end zone, and then tried to kick it from there rather than Robbie Gould, first game back from injury, and you give him a 50-yard field goal in the rain, which is just going to be tough.
Yeah.
And he's been having a tough year already. The other is the defensive line was pretty much non-existent in this game. Not really, non-existent. Okay. Not non-existent. That's too harsh. But they
were
stuck in the mud.
Okay.
And they bit on that run pass option every time, and they did not get off their blocks to get outside and try to set the defensive edge coming around to charge into Lamar Jackson. And there's a lot of holding going on. there were some plays where it almost seemed like, hey, you guys, we got to, as the NFL, hey, officials, we got to protect Lamar.
Gotcha.
Because there was some roughing the passer calls that were kind of like, really?
Okay.
There was one where they tried to get a unnecessary roughness hitting out of bounds when he was clearly in bounds.
Yeah.
They actually picked that up.
Okay.
But, his foot was in the grass when he got hit. Like, how is that even close? But it was almost like they were protecting him and trying to protect him more. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. That's not what that's not. I don't want to sound like that. There was just a lot of kind of questionable, like, really?
Sure.
Like, he's a running quarterback.
That's
he's
the nature of the beast.
Hit.
Yeah.
He's gonna get hit, and that's just how it goes. You can't go out of your way to try to protect this kind of quarterback when he runs for 100 yards and only passes for 105.
Right. Sure.
There's got to be some wiggle room there for these poor defenses that are. They just want to hit him because they don't know if he's running with the ball or not. So I think the defensive line definitely was kind of, neutralized. That's a better word.
There you go.
Neutralized.
Yeah.
Not non-existent, because they made some plays, and they cracked some guys. In fact, was it Buckner cracked Ingram when he thought Ingram had the ball?
Right.
I don't think Ingram touched the ball for like another 5 plays.
Yeah, that is the, that's a different wrinkle, and again, a different type of efficiency a quarterback who moves adds. You know what I'm saying? It's a different. It's just this whole other layer of things to worry about. And you felt that the Niners were just okay at it? How would you grade, if you had to put a letter grade on how they dealt with that part of the Ravens offense, what would it be?
I'd give him a B.
Okay.
I'd give him a B, because he's going to get his. There's really no way to kind of defend that kind of offense.
Okay.
And we've seen it before. It's too tough. He's going to get his. Now, 100 yards, I mean, Ingram didn't do all that great. He for under 4 per carry and was, kind of, if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, Ingram would have had nothing yesterday.
Right. Because he draws that attention.
He draws that attention. Yeah. So I would give overall a B. I mean, you're taking this high-powered offense where their ground game is been kind of their specialty, and you still only hold them to what essentially was 17, ended up being 20 points right there at the very end. So, they weren't great. I don't think they were horrible. The secondary made some good plays. Richard Sherman coming up and laying wood on Lamar out of nowhere I thought was great. It's something to kind of watch too. I didn't hear any injury report for him. He came back in the game, but he was down on the ground for a while.
I remember that.
I'd give him a B. And maybe that's a little too generous, but I mean, they did kind of stand, toe-to-toe with this high-powered offense.
Talk about the high-powered offenses. Both of these defenses have sort of brought back something from their recent past in the way they're playing. This is each of them. Both these teams, the last time they were each successful, they hung their hat on defense.
Yes.
Plain and simply. That was what carried each of them. And each team kind of doing it again while having maybe more offense than they did those 2 previous, say, Super Bowl appearances, that time period for them. Garoppolo, though, 15 of 21, 165 yards, 1 touchdown, no INT, sacked twice. And that was really a product of the elements as well. A cold, rainy day, it's stupid to throw it 30-plus times.
It is.
Mostert, 19 carries, 146 of them.
Yeah.
They just keep rolling out a new guy every time. What is it that gives them the ability to really put any running back, it seems like, back there? Scheme or offensive line, combo of the two? What do you got?
I think it comes down to, I think the scheme works for a variety of running back talents. So, you know what I mean? You see Breida go in there and he'll just put his head down. Any type can function. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with how they're teaching these running backs to read what the defense is giving them. So you catch the ball, it's a quick look in, and for a quick guy like Mostert, bounce out. You don't see it there. Whereas for Breida, it's almost like he almost looks out and then will gash in and see what is there. So it's kind of, I think Shanahan leaves a lot of it up to the running back to kind of read and react as opposed to...
Because that is what zone is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the beauty of the zone blocking scheme is that, I've been picky about it before because it seems like you do have to have the right type of running backs. There's been Raider coaches that have tried to force it on a team that wasn't built for it. Put it that way. That didn't work. But when it does work, it's great because it's beautiful for the run-pass option game because your linemen aren't firing downfield to a man. They're working the line in a zone and they don't get illegally downfield. And the Niners have... Maybe it's that. Maybe they find the right type of back in whatever round of the draft, whatever street free agent, whoever... They know what's going to fit them, perhaps, as well.
And it's almost like the mental aspect of the game as opposed to the physical attributes that back brings. So whether it's a fast, speedy back like we saw Mostert yesterday, or it's the kind of, Coleman put his head down, rush up the middle, kind of same with Breida. Breida's kind of a hybrid of both, where he's fast and he'll put his head down and get that extra couple yards. So it's almost like they look rather for the IQ. Are you going to be able to understand this scheme in this playbook, and then you go and do what you do best, and we'll kind of leave it up to you. And I think that's why Niners fans and everybody's been able to see kind of how successful it's been with just 5 different running backs in the last couple seasons.
Yeah, just throw a dude out there. It'll work, apparently.
Yeah.
On the passing game, Emmanuel Sanders, 4 for 41 and 6 targets. Kittle, 2 for 17 on 4 targets. How you think both those two big guns in the receiving corps coming back from injury looked?
I thought Sanders looked great.
Okay.
He made some really tough catches, especially in the rain.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to have, any misses, drops, like blatant drops that we've seen in the past few weeks from Niners receivers. Kittle, completely underutilized.
Okay.
Completely. I mean, 2 or 3 targets?
Yeah, 4 of them.
Four targets and 2
catches,
receptions. Yeah. That's not enough for that kind of game. Now, one of those was even just a sweep out where he gets it behind the line of scrimmage and gets stuffed. I mean, I could kind of see the idea behind that. But Kittle's at his best when he can chip off a block, leak out, get the ball, and run
in the middle somewhere.
And it would have been a quick, easy dink and dunk pass for Garoppolo to make, especially in those weather conditions, for Kittle to be a lot more utilized and a lot more effective against that Ravens defense, which would sell out on the run and kind of dare you to beat them in other places. And even selling out on the run, Mostert did a fantastic job, career day for him with 146 yards. But I think a play action to him would have opened Kittle up a lot more for a quick short yardage and then a yak after the catch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see from, say, the overhead shots from the All-22 what Baltimore did to bracket him in, or if there was anything they really did to slow him down, or if it was just a product of how the game went.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. It was instead Kendrick Bourne with 3 snags for 42 and Deebo Samuel 2 for 41. What do you think of these guys' progress as the other receivers? Because as we've seen, there have been games where they have let the Niners down here or there.
Mm-hmm.
They've also made some big plays against the Packers.
Yeah.
So where are you feeling these guys have performed if you try to letter grade them too?
Kendrick Bourne, just based on yesterday, I'd give him a B-.
Okay.
It could be it might be kind of harsh. Maybe a B. Maybe just a solid B.
Okay.
I expect more, but each time he goes out, he shows a little bit more and a little bit more.
That's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
here.
and
If you think they're at least progressing at all.
This season, yes.
Okay.
If we don't look at his past, because I definitely think he should be a lot farther along than what he is.
Yeah.
But last year, I mean, he was ups and downs, would be utilized, not have any targets. He'd be used, not have any targets. And I think this year he's showing more and more each time he's out there. And I mean, the first part of the season he was non-existent.
Right.
But now these last couple of weeks, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, there's Bourne. Yeah. Oh, that was a great catch. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, but then are they really being utilized enough? Mm. Deebo Samuel, he's young. He's gonna have mistakes. This is his rookie year.
Yeah.
But I'm really high on Deebo. I'm high on Deebo moving forward. I'm high on him being able to catch the ball in the backfield and square up like a running back and take it downfield. So I would give him an A- for yesterday.
So Niners dropped their second game of the season. Again, their 2 losses by combined 6 points. They've lost 2 games by a field goal each. The Seattle game, of course, 3 weeks ago. This one with the Ravens. So now the next test in this gauntlet of the second half schedule, before a little mini break with the Falcons after that. Going to New Orleans, going to the Saints. Another 10 a.m. game out there in New Orleans. At least not as much of a time zone adjustment. Going to the Central, at least.
Well, they're staying in Florida, so it's still an East Coast time. But it's still East Coast, but they're staying in Florida, so they're not going to have to deal with the early 10 a.m. start. They should be well adjusted. Just
good choice.
Stay out of Bourbon Street. Stay off of Bourbon Street. Don't go out eating beignets the night before the game. Get that out of your system on Friday.
Yeah.
Get that out of your system on Friday. Go have a couple grenades and then get a good night's sleep on Saturday night. And you know what? I think this is definitely a winnable game. I'm
going to agree. This was a game, this is one of the tilters where as the season went on, people came into it, Niners maybe 9-7 this year, Mm-hmm. And as things began to tilt early in the season and change that win prediction, it's like, maybe 10-6. Oh, God, I think they're going to go 12-4 at this pace that they're on. Mm-hmm. And the way they played in the first half of the year tilted this one. This is one where at the beginning of the season, they'll probably lose this one. They'll lose that Baltimore one and this one on the road. That's how they'll end up 9-7 and 10-6 or whatever. But after watching them and getting to this point, this one is tilted. I think they can get to Drew Brees, and that's kind of the trick, is pressure up the middle like we talked about before. I think they can harass him, and they have enough in the secondary to deal with New Orleans team speed. They can deal with Kamara, with the crew of linebackers and linemen that they have coming out of the backfield. I feel good about that. And the fact that they're able to keep plugging somebody else in when somebody goes down just kind of gives me, and I think gives them, a lot of confidence that if they just do what they're told, really. If they just keep doing their assignment and swarm to the ball, they're going to be just fine. I got the Niners winning this by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think touchdown's fair.
Okay.
It may, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, I mean, I
Points,
I
not
could
touchdowns.
points. Yeah, no, not touchdowns. Points. I could see it being a little bit closer.
Sure.
But I look for that front seven, as I mentioned, looked like they were stuck in the mud, and maybe literally they were stuck in the mud in that rainy Baltimore game. But this is dome time.
Yeah.
This is get up there, get upfield, and I think that they'll definitely, as you said, be able to get to Drew Brees. Definitely a winnable game. Now, if you look at Seattle, Green Bay, Baltimore, and now New Orleans, if the Niners can come out of there 2-2, like that should put all this doubter hate and everything, across whoever's still out there still doubting this team. That should put it to rest. Because if you come away 2-2 against those 4 teams, and it's a combined 6 points that you lost by,
Right.
that's phenomenal. Now, tons of Raider fan hate out there yesterday. Shout out to some of my homies that I've been getting to on social media. Still wanting to down the team because they lost by 3 points. Lamar Jackson handled y'all. I was like, really? Handled us and won by 3, huh?
Yeah.
Handled kind of like Patrick Mahomes, kind of, and so
That's what guys like. Sorry,
I hate to
just some
segue
of the
into
trash
this.
talk that fans. Well, because I've got it in the other direction.
Oh, of
It's like
course.
that Charger fans want to talk trash. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You watched it, right? Like that happened, and there's going to be another game against you guys. That's going to look like another home game.
Yeah.
Maybe dial it down a notch. So same for my own Raider fans. Maybe this ain't the day for that. Okay.
Wait till
Just
tomorrow.
Pick your I've somewhat retired from trash talk about the teams I'm a fan of anyway. Some of the fan stuff goes away when you start working in it too.
Yeah,
and
of course.
We talked about that. But I didn't have anything to do with that.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was Al's crazy ass for years, and people were giving me crap about him. Like, I don't know, he's old. Whatever. So that sort of thing I've dialed back a little bit.
Yeah, and I love Al Davis.
Yeah.
I thought Al, because this is a great Thanksgiving story we'll get into.
Okay,
Thanksgiving.
good.
But
I brought the cranberry sauce today.
because nobody ate it.
Because I showed up at 11 o'clock.
At night?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I got there right when the party was good, though. Ooh. Well, here's the thing. I was moving.
Yeah.
Moved in the morning, worked a women's basketball game. By the way, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Women's basketball game in the middle, then went right back to moving and had to be out of there. And I got out of there at, I guess, 10-ish. Had the greatest meal ever at Habit. It felt like it was just the greatest thing I'd ever eaten in my life. Finally, after moving. And then went to San Jose, where the Friendsgiving was. And so that's why I show up. I'm like, guys, what did I miss it? I brought the cranberry sauce. Let's go. Let's do this. And they were all... I also brought Patron because I had some catching up to do.
Oh,
with
there
them.
you go.
So yes, go ahead, give me your Thanksgiving Al Davis there.
Oh, I would have been like, I brought the cranberry sauce, but the can opener's in storage.
Yeah, literally.
Al Davis. So growing up, I was a Niner fan, always have been, but I always had love for the Raiders because there was people in my family that were Raiders fans.
Okay.
I was a kid in the '80s when they were still in LA. And my uncle had the first man cave I had ever been in. It's like 1987.
Okay.
He had a converted garage with a big 60-inch tubed flat screen TV. It wasn't flat screen, but whatever.
Yeah,
it was big.
yeah.
Raiders memorabilia all over the place, and it was just about the Raiders. And so hearing and seeing the kind of the brash, the kind of arrogant, the Raiders carried with them from Oakland to LA and then back to Oakland, and just how the fans interact. I was just kind of... It's actually kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because the Niners and Niner fans are more reserved, more buttoned up. It's kind of just the perception and
a little bit of a lobster and vino crowd versus...
absolutely. But, when you got all that gold on your hand, it's easy to be lobster and champagne.
Man.
But, kind of seeing that and... so I always had an appreciation and always thought it was really kind of like the coolness, like that really just kind of tough, gritty, grimy, war paint on your face of that fan base. So my uncle, he's uncle by marriage. I'm going to preface that right here because Thanksgiving, I get in over to Machi's house. Machi is Basque grandmother, so
Mm-hmm.
I go in there, and she puts out food, and everybody just kind of comes and goes because everybody's got other obligations.
Sure,
Everybody's
yeah.
married.
That's how it goes now. The
It
rotations.
does,
Yeah.
and so she throws food out, and she'll tell you what time she's going to plan on eating if you want to But it's never really a sit down. Everybody just kind of like buffet style
Buffet
and
style,
congregates. Well, I walk in and I look, and my uncle's wearing a black baseball cap, which my grandfather hates us wearing hats in the house, and he somehow can get away with it, whatever. But I look, and it's black, and I see it's kind of like white and black on the front, but I'm not really paying too much attention.
Sure.
We're standing around, and I'm like scooping mashed potatoes or whatever, and I look, and it was a Patriots hat.
Whoa.
And I was like, hey, whoa. I was like, are you wearing a Patriots hat? And he looked, he's all, well, what's your team there, Big Steve? I'm like, you know what team mine is. It's been the same since 1987. That's the San Francisco 49ers. Were you a Raider fan?
Yeah.
And he was like, and I was like, no, I don't know.
No,
Please
I don't know how this
explain.
works. Yeah.
And he's like, you stop worrying about me and worry about Baltimore on Sunday. I was like, I'm worried about the Tuck game and how hurt you must be to be wearing this. And he's like, my team's leaving in Las Vegas. And he was just that kind of...
Yeah.
I'm like, well...
And I get that side of it. I don't know why you'd go there.
Though.
Yeah.
I know. It's like...
Jeez.
Are you front running now?
Oh, God.
So he did not hear the rest. That was not the rest of what he had to hear from me that day.
Raiders go to Kansas City and keep getting the same result, really, of when they keep going to Kansas City for, they're able to squeak out some wins against them at home. Recently in the Derek Carr era, in fact, his first fourth quarter comeback is against them. Mm-hmm. But since then, it hasn't been the same. They've had a different defensive scheme since then. They've gotten to know Derek Carr in that time. And we've talked about the one Derek Carr flaw is he'll make up his mind at the line of scrimmage based on a read he sees of where he's going to go with the ball. Okay, he's going to set up, see something. Okay, I'm going to the tight end on a corner. Right there. Boom. That's the play. I know what I'm going to do. Oh, I already got it figured out, man.
He
This
gets
is
all
going to be
excited.
it. This is going to be it. And the chief safety also knows that that's where he's going with it and that this is going to be it. So I can't completely tell, where this lies as far as if it's something he does as the action is happening. If there's too much of a stare down, there's not enough of a look off, but I feel like he does, but sometimes he does lock in. Like he's not consistent with the look off of the safety, make him think he's going somewhere else. Or it's just sort of, I don't know. Because what puzzles me about it is sometimes I feel like, man, it looked like he looked the dude off, but then came back over here and that safety was completely ready for it. And a quote from Tyrann Mathieu kind of said it all. He said, the biggest thing is we knew that when Carr did take shots downfield, we understood it pre-snap by the formation. And it put us in position to make a play. Tight ends, running backs, check downs, that's his game. We were able to capitalize when he did try to throw it downfield. So the Chiefs are maybe starting to get like the Patriots a bit, where they know your offense as well as you do.
Yeah, and that's scary.
Yeah, and John Gruden also worked for Andy Reid as his offensive coordinator before. These two have worked together a long time. Mm-hmm. And there's probably quite a bit of familiarity there. But this went back before even. This went back to Musgrave. This went back to, the guy who's back at coordinator now, and Greg Olson, when he was coordinator, now back with John Gruden, even if it's really, truly Gruden calling the game, So it's a combo. There's a combination of Carr and the coaches going back to the well too many times, I think. Mm-hmm. If I had to diagnose, man, what the heck goes wrong in a 40-9 loss in Kansas City with a pick 7, multiple interceptions in this one for Carr, both in the first half, one taken back, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And it's just really that. So this goes back a couple coaches now that they are able to see Carr's flaw and capitalize on it, of kind of knowing where he's going to go. But it would appear they've also studied what the Raiders have done each of these times. And Kansas City, it's just a house of horrors for the Raiders right now.
Definitely is. But in all fairness, Kansas City is kind of a house of horrors for a lot of people around the league.
Here they are at 8-4 again this year, missing Mahomes at one point during the season.
But they have lost 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders were held scoreless through 3 quarters yesterday.
Yeah.
It was 31-0 after 3, which, and I think kind of what you were talking about pre-snap and their offensive formation and kind of being able to read and tell goes into something that you've been talking about all year, and that's not having weapons on offense and on the outside.
Yeah.
So you know that Waller is a beast for a tight end. Renfro could, be in the slot
kid,
guy that you have to keep an eye on, but even that's short yardage, short routes. Outside, you don't really have to look. Now, going back to Carr and his tell, I'm sure if you take film from all of his interceptions this year, he's looking at you like a guy from across the bar. He's licking his chops, and he gives you the old wink. Hey, girl, how's it going? And just I'm gonna make my move. Bam, interception.
Yeah.
And I do see him kind of get stuck in that stare down, and it's almost like he does get kind of like, oh, I know where I'm gonna go. It's single high safety, and all of a sudden they shift at snap.
Yeah, and the Chiefs disguise things well.
Chiefs absolutely disguise things, and I think that kind of helps their defense play a little bit better than what it should be on paper.
Right, because they're bad against the run, so I don't know if they've really got the horses for it, but they do scheme well.
They scheme very well, and they're really good about being able to make that kind of almost 5-yard adjustment, where you have that safety shift 5 yards one direction. It kind of helps disguise what they're actually going to be running, what plays they have in mind. But yeah, I do see Carr get kind of stuck in that stare down, and it usually happens more like a mid-range, it's not a check down, it's something like out over the middle or a dig in, and it's not downfield, because downfield is usually something that happens too fast. He doesn't have time to stare it down, but as a play develops, you can kind of see his eyes follow from one side to the other, and you can kind of see that that's exactly what he wants to get into.
Yeah, so the Raiders probably have not self-scouted themselves well, if I had to guess. They have tells, Carr has tells, that the Chiefs are the best of any of their opponents at picking up on over the years. So the Raiders fall to 6-6 after a couple losses in a row. The clunker in New York, this one now, and honestly, this is a little bit more where I expected them to be. They're kind of coming back to the mean here at this point. They've maybe played above themselves at times. There's been times when Carr has covered their flaws, like we've talked about. This time, his flaws got exposed. The Chiefs' losses this year are 6 points to the Colts. Colts, a fringy playoff team. A loss to the Texans by a touchdown, who beat the New England Patriots that night. Last night. Oh, that was the icing on the cake, Steven, to finish the weekend.
It was.
When I turned that thing on, second half, seeing that score, I was like, oh, man, this deserves another piece of pumpkin pie, because this is sweet right here.
See, I took another shot. There was a lot of alcohol being consumed yesterday. Sorry to my homie I was hanging out with. There's only about 3 ounces left in that vodka bottle. It was a long day.
Yeah.
No, so everybody that wants to nitpick it at Jimmy Garoppolo and where he throws the ball and his accuracy sometimes, I said it's a flaw. That's I think that's a fair assessment. Okay. But game in and game out, I mean, they're 10-2, and they nitpick every week. Jimmy G, on and on and on. Watch that game yesterday from Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tommy Terrific was not yesterday. And I mean, interception, like he did not look good at all. And that was against a Texas team that Baltimore annihilated a couple weeks ago. It was like it was supposed to be like almost a highlight game of that weekend. Right. Watson and Jackson, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, and it was so lopsided.
Yeah, right.
Now look what the Patriots did yesterday against that Texas team. Then look what the Niners did against that Baltimore team. I hate going week to week and team to team and this and that.
It's a little different, but sure.
It's a little different, but they annihilated, and it wasn't even close. It was not even close.
You can tell Houston maybe sloughed off there at the end and got, Patriots sort of climbed back to bring it within an onside kick, and then even another one. But
that first half was dominated.
Yes, exactly. So maybe Tom Brady's microbiome was off this past week or something. That
TB12 was TB11.
Yeah, so they just didn't. And it's more than anything, that is about the Houston Texans defense.
Yeah.
Pressure from all
Everywhere.
angles. Yeah, and that's the difference with them. The Thanksgiving games, did you watch those as well?
And,
Little bit, yeah.
a little bit. They're just not...
I caught the ending of Bears-Lions.
The lineup wasn't that entertaining.
Yeah, right.
Bears
Bears-Lions is a traditional matchup.
It is.
But they both just... One has a terrible quarterback, the other has a hurt quarterback.
Yeah, so there's a few things you can count on Thanksgiving. There's going to be turkey.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes. Hopefully gravy. And the Lions are going to lose.
Uh-huh.
That's just what's going to happen on Thanksgiving. Watching the demise of the Cowboys was enjoyable for me.
That was a highlight, yeah.
My grandfather, so I was sitting there on the couch with him next to him, and I think it was at the end of the first quarter. Cowboys have been in control, time of possession. They were only up 7-0, and they had the ball. And my grandfather goes, well, looks like it's the Cowboys' day. And I was like, let's hold on there. Let's give them time to self-destruct, because it's going to happen.
Amen.
Sure enough, that play, like that drive, interception. The next drive, another takeaway. And then I almost got a third one in a row for 3 possessions in a row to give the ball up, and it got called back due to a penalty. And, my grandfather was in the room. I was like, so, how about them Cowboys?
You want to check in on that, yeah.
And so I really hope and I wish and I pray that this whole America's team can finally go away.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that nickname, the America's team, because America don't
It's
love
outdated.
you. America don't love you.
Yeah, very outdated is the problem. And let's see, other games of note, I would say the Broncos defeating the Chargers 23-20. Drew Lock out of the University of Missouri,
Whoop, whoop.
making his debut. 18-28, 134 of them, 2 touchdowns to just 1 INT. So good to see Drew do his thing in that ugly uniform. The Rams did beat up the Cardinals 34-7. So the NFC West continues to remain muddled. A little bit up for grabs there. The Buccaneers defeated the Jaguars. Here's the one that caught me by surprise the most this week, and that is the Redskins defeating the Panthers 29-21.
Yeah.
That one is my only surprise this week.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. But, I mean, the Redskins got a pretty good team. Yeah, it's just they haven't been able to put it together.
They made a coaching change, right? Yeah, they fired the other Gruden.
Yeah, the other Gruden is gone.
Gruden, too.
But, it was just one of those things where, any given Sunday.
Yeah.
And you can't really... Or,
it's literally what it is.
Yeah. And it's, you they're all being paid to play.
Yeah.
And they all have pride. And, what are the Dolphins now? 3 wins on this season?
Yeah,
did they not get the memo, the midseason memo, like, hey, we're still tanking.
We're tanking. Probably they've been playing other teams tanking.
Yeah. It's like, that's the thing, too, is the NFL, there's so much discrepancy between the very top and then the rest of the league.
A little bit.
And I haven't seen it like this for a while, where the Cowboys can still win the division at probably 8-8.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. When
that division's been that way a minute.
It has been. Yeah. It's been very muddled.
Yeah.
And kind of like just the dregs of the
Whoever
NFL.
the tallest midget is there.
But then you see other conferences like the AFC East and then the NFC West, where you've got teams that could have 3 or 4 losses and not make the playoffs.
It's going to be a 13-win wild card coming out of the division or something.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. So that was the one that surprised me. But you're right about, acknowledging any given Sunday on there. But that was the Redskins doing that. Steelers beat the Browns. Nobody hit anybody with a helmet. The Packers destroyed the Giants 31-13. So now it's the Giants at 2-10 running to the top right now.
Did you see any of the guys walking? They have the tunnel shots of the guys coming to the game. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I forget who it was. I want to say it was a wide receiver, had a Calvin and Hobbs. And it was the Steelers as Calvin and the Browns, and Calvin relieving himself all over the Browns. Yeah, it was classic, actually.
Yeah.
But that whole narrative was not missed on the players going into the game.
Yeah. Dolphins messed up and accidentally beat the Eagles 37-31. Titans Colts, they're still duking it out for the AFC South 31-17. That was a big tilt there. Mm-hmm. Titans 7-5 now. Colts 6-6. Bengals got off the mat and defeated the Jets. Get their first victory of the year.
How does that make you feel, Raiders fans?
That any given Sunday, you just don't know what's going to happen. So, Saints defeated the Falcons, picked off Matt Ryan a few times in that one. Again, Bills defeating the Cowboys and Bears winning late against the Lions in the game that somebody had to win, I guess.
You know, it's the funny thing. Unless you're the Cardinals or you're whoever else has had a tie this year. But they design it to where somebody should be winning.
So, tonight's Monday Night Football, very much of interest to Niner fans. You're all going to put on whatever piece of purple apparel you have this evening as the Vikings go into Seattle. Vikings 8-3.
Yeah.
Taking on 9-2 Seattle. So, need to keep that one-game lead on the Seahawks. Everybody's a purple people eater in the Niner households tonight.
And it's definitely going to be. I think it's going to be a really good game.
It should.
It's going to be. Should be. It's setting out to play really good. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan.
Yeah,
I am tonight.
It's tough. Okay. Tonight we're going to change that, right?
Just for tonight.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of talk about him. Even the Niners even trying to get him a couple years ago, and
right.
I was not on board with that.
Yeah.
You
want that?
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't like that. Now, I think he shows flashes of being a good a great quarterback at times. I think he's a good quarterback.
That's
not
fair.
to take anything away from him, but I don't think he's great. And I think he benefits from having good pieces around him, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, all quarterbacks do.
You have to.
Yeah, Jimmy G's benefiting from a fantastic defense. Like, let's put all the cards on the table. It is what it is. I'm just not a big fan of his. I don't see him come up big in big moments. He's only played in one playoff game in his entire career, and he lost it. I mean, that's just kind of that right there should be a telltale about how his career has been. Now he's had great games. He's had floppers of a game. And I'm hoping tonight that he has a great game.
Yeah, got to be one of those tonight. So the AFC picture right now, your top two, Baltimore and New England, are both 10-2. Then look at the Buffalo Bills there at 9-3, man. That's exciting for them. Houston's 8-4 on top of the South. Kansas City's 8-4 on top of the West. Right now, your wild cards are Pittsburgh and Tennessee, getting in at 7-5. On that NFC side, Niners still the top seed right now, and that's going to be battled for next week. Or pardon me, next week, and then the season finale are going to loom pretty large, because as the Niners are 10-2, the Saints are 10-2. Green Bay still 9-3, and that was the Chiefs' other loss this year, along with the Titans. Those were the four that we talked about. Dallas would be in as a division winner at 6-6 at the moment. God, what an awful division. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Seahawks are a 9-2 wild card, as are the 8-3 Vikings if the season were to end today. Actually, be the Rams on the outside looking in at the moment at 7-5. So this is a real good final 3-4 weeks we got coming up here. I'm going to say Baltimore hangs on to that top seed. And I got the Niners hanging on to it, too. I think we saw the matchup of the top seeds this past weekend.
I think so, too. And it would be fantastic if that happened to be a Super Bowl preview from the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Because weather shouldn't be a factor down in Miami in the winter for the Super Bowl. And it'll be a rematch of a few years ago between the Niners and the Ravens. Now, different teams.
Sure.
John Harbaugh's the only one there. Really kind of held over from that.
Yeah.
Joe Staley, which, I just think it would be great. I think it'd be great for both fan bases to kind of have that kind of excitement because, I mean, in all fairness, Baltimore hasn't had a whole lot to be excited about since that Super Bowl.
Yeah, they really haven't. So, go Vikings tonight. We'll take a break here on the Blitz. We talked about the NFL seeding. I talk about basketball playoff seeding. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little minor league baseball and a little Cal Maritime athletics as well. Right after this, coming up on the Blitz on 89.5 FM, KZCT Vallejo.